morning, dear students of HSC class in Rajshahi College. After the vacation, I am again here. Today, I will make a revision of how to change the narration of sentences. It is an item in your English second paper course, and you will have a question on changing the narration of sentences. And as far as I can remember, one of our colleagues took a class on narration change previously. Today I will make a revision of that class so that you can understand the thing better and you can do better in the examination. When you are asked to change the narration of sentences in a paragraph form, you will have to consider a few points, identify certain aspects in the given passage. For example, we have in those passages two specific separate types of sentences. A group of sentences are without any quotation mark, and there are also a number of sentences which are in a number of quotation marks. The sentences within a quotation is called reporting speech, and sentences outside a quotation is called reported speech. In general, the sentences in the reporting speech section are often assertive in form, but the sentences in the within the quotation forms, that is the sentences within the quotation or the sentences of the reporting speech may be of various forms, but sentences outside the quotation marks or sentences in the reported speech, I'm confused with the definition. The sentences outside the quotation mark or sorry. Well, I am making a fresh start of the class. The the sentences outside a quotation is called reporting speech. That is, this is the part of the speaker, and sentences within a quotation mark or in a quotation mark, or better say inside a quotation mark is called reported speech, or the listener's part. When we are asked to change the narration of the sentences from the reporting speech, we only usually change the verb say in accordance with the form of the sentence in the reported speech. That is, if the sentence in the reported speech is for an assertive sentence, we use the verb tell. For an interrogative sentence, we use ask. For an imperative sentence in the reported speech, we use tell, order, forbid, and request. For an optative sentence, we use may plus verb, finite verb, may plus finite verb plus that. Well, for an assertive sentence in the reported speech, we use tell and that. For an interrogative sentence, we use ask and if or whether. Similarly, for an imperative sentence, we use tell, order, forbid, request, tell or order or forbid or request plus 2. Similarly, when we have an exclamatory sentence, in the reported speech, we may use exclaim, with joy, sorrow, plus that. So when we are asked to change a speech from its indirect form to direct form, we will change the verb say, we will alternate the verb say with the verbs like tell, ask, order, forbid, request, exclaim with, or sometimes we may need to add a modal may on the basis of the sentence form in the reported speech section. And in the reported speech we need to make some changes. For example, all the finite verbs in the reported speech should follow the finite verb of the reporting speech. That is, if the finite verb in the reporting speech is in the present form, the finite verbs in the reported speech should follow that present form of the finite verb of the reporting speech. If the finite verb of the reporting speech is in the past form, the finite verbs in the reported speech should follow the finite verbs in the should follow the tense form of the finite verb in the reporting speech. Besides that, there is a change of number and persons of noun, particularly pronoun, in the reported speech. First person, all first person in the reported speech stands for the speaker. All the second persons in the reported speech not stands, stand. Stand for the listener or the person spoken to, and all the third persons in the reported speech do not, need not be changed. Thus, we have to keep in mind three basic rules when we change the form of narration of the sentences given in the question paper. They are number 1, using a substitute finite verb for say in the reporting speech to following the tense form of the finite verb of the reporting speech. And number 3, identifying and changing the persons. Identifying and changing the persons in the reported speech. As I said, the first person in the reported speech stands for the speaker. The second person in the reported speech stands for the listener, and the third person in the reported speech will not be changed. Well, I am giving you an example of an unusual use of the verb. Say, I have written using a substitute finite verb for say in the reporting speech. If the same verb say is there in a reported speech, we will not alternate that say with any other verb. For example, you say it, Rana did not believe what he Rana did not believe what he said to, well, Rana did not believe what the man said. You see, said is in both of the speeches, both in the reporting speech and in the reported speech. We need to change the said in the reporting speech. We will change, well, one thing you should always bear in mind, that all the indirect speeches will be expressed or written in the assertive form. There may be different forms of sentences in the reported speech, but in the reporting speech section, all the sentences will be expressed in the assertive form. So, if you are asked to change this sentence in the indirect speech form, you will write it in this way. You said, instead of you said, well, one important thing is that if you do not have any listener identified, you will keep this said. But if you have a listener identified, you say to him. This say will be changed in this way. You told him. If there was no listener identified, you could write say it as usual. But since there is a listener or the person spoken to is identified, you will use the verb tell. You told him that Rana the past indefinite form in the reported speech should be expressed in the past perfect form if the finite verb in the reporting speech is in the past indefinite form. So, did not would be had not believed what the man had said. This said will never be changed. This verb, since it is in the reported speech, it should be it should not be changed. No verb in the reported speech should be changed. Rather, the say verb in the reporting speech only should be changed in accordance with the form of the sentence in the reported speech. Well, now I am giving you, I am writing a number of sample passages, like which the questions, like which there will be a task to change the form of narration will be given in your examination question. Look at this sentence. look at the example of the passage speeches. Suppose you are given this passage to change its form of narration. This is the indirect form. Indirect form of speech, and you are asked to change it into its direct form. So, when you are asked to make such a change, you need at first to identify the speaker. Who are the speakers here? We get the passage beginning with a sentence inside a quotation mark. That is, it is uttered by someone, and from the expression of the sentence, we guess one Shima is asked something by a speaker, and from the statement of Shima in the next sentence, we identify the first speaker was her brother. Therefore, we will start the direct speech identifying the initial speaker or speech initiator, Shima's brother, as the speaker is called brother by Shima. Shima's brother asked her if can you, this you means the listener or the person spoken to. The person spoken to is Shima, and if we write Shima or she to replace this you, there will be no problem. Shima's brother asked her if Shima or she could give me, means the speaker is Shima's brother. Since the gender is different, we can write he could give him a pen. In reply, since the second speech, the speech of Shima, is a reply to the question of her brother, we will write in reply, or in reply Shima Shima, no brother, I do not have any. This is an assertive sentence. Therefore, we will use the verb tell in the past form. Shima told her brother that she had not any, full stop. And we have another speech made by her brother in two sentences together. So we will change the first sentence in the third speech of the, in the third reported speech. A student should have a pen. A student is in the third person. Her brother again told Shima that a student, since there will be no change in the third person, a student should have a pen. And you see, the second part of her brother's speech is in the exclamatory sentence. I wrote earlier that for an exclamatory sentence, say should be replaced by exclaim with sorrow or joy or something like that. Here we will use the verb of wonder in to alternate say, and that student should have a pen and wondered how a student auxiliary verb should follow the verb of the finite verb, tense of the finite verb said, that is in the past form. Therefore, can should be changed into could. How a student could study without a pen. Look, in her brother's speech we have two sentences. One is in the assertive form and the other one is in the exclamatory form. Therefore, we have used two different verbs, tell for the assertive sentence and wonder for the exclamatory sentence. If both were in the assertive form, both of the sentences in the reported speech were in the assertive form, we could only use and added that and nothing else. Well, now let us go for another example of the change of speeches. Well, in this example, we have 3 speeches and we have 2 persons involved in the conversation. One is I and the other one is you. The speech, the conversation, not the speech, the conversation is initiated by I. So, we will make the speech of the we will make the speech of the first speaker or the initiator speaker or I in the direct form. To make the sentences in the reported speech direct, we will start with the speaker, initiator speaker of the initiating speech or the first speech. The speaker is I and I is saying something to you. The first sentence is in the interrogative form. Therefore, I asked you, instead of said, I have used here asked verb to replace say. I asked you if he is in the third person, therefore it will not be changed. If he, meet is in the past indefinite form, so in the direct speech it will be expressed in the past perfect form. If he had met you, you means second person. Second person refers to the person spoken to, and interesting enough, the person spoken to or the listener is also a second person. Therefore, this second person will assume the person of the listener, you. If he had met you, and the second sentence in the same reported speech is I think he didn't. This is an assertive sentence. So, to replace say, we will use the verb tell in the past form after the end. You and I also told that. I thought he, the third person, will remain unchanged. He didn't will be changed into he hadn't. In reply, you is replying to you is replying to the speech of I. So, in reply, you, the first sentence of the second speech or the first sentence in the reported speech of you is in the assertive form. So, we need to use the verb tell, but the tell is already there in the reporting speech. Therefore, we do not need to make any change. In reply, you told me. We will simply use our with and we will find that this and we will find that the listener is the speaker of the previous speech, that is I, that is the first person in the object form. In reply, you told me that he agreed to come. He will remain unchanged. He had agreed to come and the second sentence of this speech of you is also in the assertive form. Therefore, we will use here and added that or also told that. When there are more than two sentences in a single reported speech, you will use added that or also told that for the second assertive sentence in the reported speech, and added that or also told that. I means the speaker, you. Hope is in the present tense, but the finite verb of the reporting speech is in the past form. Therefore, you hoped to see. There will be no change in any non-finite verb, no change of tense form of the non-finite verb. So, the infinitive will remain infinitive, and you hoped to see him. Third person will remain unchanged. This will be changed into that evening. And in a following line, not in a following sentence, in a following line, we have the speech of another one, that is, we have the speech of the first speaker, I. I wished. For wish, we can use wished. I wished you. You will be the you will remain unchanged because this you refers to this you, and they both will make a single identity of you, the listener you. I wished you all the best. Dear students, from the examples I have presented on the whiteboard, you understand that the change of the narration means the change of the form of speech from indirect reference to direct utterance. Therefore, all the sentences in the direct speech will be expressed in the assertive form of sentences, even if there are a variety of sentences in the reported speeches. You need to remember three things which I wrote on the board before starting this class. First, you need to change the verb say with an alternative finite verb, adjusting with the form of the sentences in the reported speech. Secondly, you need to adjust the person of the speakers and listeners and third persons in accordance with the speaker and listener in the reporting speech section. And thirdly, you must make sure that all the finite verbs in the reported speech must adjust to it or should follow the finite verb in the reporting speech. I hope you will cut the full marks in the narration question in your examination if you answer the question with the smallest care, and lack of care may make a mistake in your answer which will harm, which will result in cutting a loss in your credit. So I will finish this class today. I hope you will continue your studies in these pandemic days, so that when the classes resume in the near future, we hope to resume the classes, we hope to meet you in the classrooms in a near future, and then you will be able to do exercises better, because we will have to work harder and faster in the days to come to prepare ourselves for the upcoming HSC examination. And that's all. Thank you for today. Thank you all. Stay safe, stay home.